Hi BookTube! My name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I'm coming to you with another weekly reading update. So no vlog again this week. As I mentioned last week, it's kind of the way things are going to go for the next little while until life kind of starts getting straightened out a little bit. Not straightened out. I actually think I don't know. I think I'm going to save vlogs for like fun things, like if I'm doing a readathon or like for the Create Your Own Readathon this weekend. I think I will vlog it. That might be fun. But in general, day to day, week to week, I think the weekly reading updates are going to be the way to go. So this is for week number 10, and this is from March the 5th through March the 11th. And yeah, I have 3 books that I finished this week. Very pleased with that. I have some fabulous book mail. If you guys saw the thumbnail for this, you will have seen 2 of the books. And if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw them as well. And I also want to, of course, share with you what I am currently reading. So let's jump into it, my friends. So first of all, I finished The Secret of the Old Clock by Carolyn Keene. I ended up giving this one, The Secret of the Old Clock. That's the first book. The Secret in the Old Attic by Carolyn Keene. I gave this book 3 stars. It was Nancy Drew Mysteries number 21. So in this one kind of bugged me a little bit with the person who had the crime committed against them. So the whole plot of the story is about this older gentleman who Nancy befriends. No, it's a friend of Nancy's dad's, or he asked them to look into this, and his son had written this music, and someone stole the music and was plagiarizing it, essentially stating that it was their own. So what happened is that the son who wrote this music, he had gone off to war and he had died, and then his wife had passed away and they had a young daughter. So this older gentleman now was looking after his granddaughter, and because the family fortune has been whittled away, he didn't have a lot of money. He wanted to care for his granddaughter but didn't have any money to do that. So he wanted Nancy to find these, who it is who's stealing these songs to so then that way he can get the royalties or what have you. Anyway, it was a whole thing. So my issue with this one, that every time I read it, I rolled my eyes, is that he refused to accept help. Now, I get that there are some people, and it's a pride thing. I totally get it. You don't want to necessarily ask for help if you need it. But there's one scene where, Nancy mentioned something about having a neighbor who has a daughter, the granddaughter's age, is like, let me see if she's got any old clothes. Oh, no. What are you going to do? Have her go naked? So I don't know. It's it just seemed like it was a flimsy, they could have very easily gotten help. He could have gotten something from the state or what have you to help with the raising of the granddaughter, but wanted these songs back instead. So the old attic part of it comes into it because the man lives in a very old home, has this attic, and that's where the son used to go to write these songs and yada, yada, yada. So not my favorite. Probably now that I'm stopping now, because I do make a couple of notes before I sit down and talk to you guys, like when I finish a book or whatever, but not a ton. So, really, I remembered enough to be able to tell you guys what it's about, but this one was not the most memorable of the series. And yeah, I liked it. I just didn't love it. So the next one that I did finish, I did love. You guys, this was so good. So the rest of the week was pretty stellar, the last 2 books. So then I finished The Body Under the Piano by Marthe Johnson. I gave this book 5 stars. This is the first book in the Aggie Morton Mystery Queen series. This is a middle grade mystery series about Agatha Christie. It's the author. There's a whole author's note in the back of this book talking about where this idea came from. And she's read a lot about Agatha Christie, all of her biographies and all of these things. And, and this is kind of an imagining of what would Agatha Christie have been like as a 12-year-old girl, solving crimes, essentially. And this was so adorable. I absolutely loved it. So Aggie has a friend named Hector Poirot. Of course, I cannot say his name, but Hercule Poirot. I don't know why my brain blocks that and I can't say it, but you know who I'm talking about. Poirot. I wanted to have another friend named Jane, like Miss Marple. But anyway, so she lives with her mom and her grandmother and her dog named, what's the dog's name? Jake, Jack, Theo? I don't remember the dog's name, but she has a little doggy, little doggy right there. And her father passed away a year ago, or a year prior to the start of this book. So I think that is all very true to Agatha Christie's actual life, that she had older siblings who were, by the time, Agatha was a certain age, they had already gotten married and moved out. So in this book, she also has an older sister, but the older sister just got married and she's moved out. And the second book takes place in the home where her sister lives, which is going to be a lot of fun. And it's also a Christmas book, so I'm going to hold off and read it at Christmas time. But anyway, the plot of this one is that Aggie takes these dance lessons, and she shows up for dance class one day, and this not very well-liked woman in town is found dead under the piano. And Aggie's the one who first sees her, and, decides, her and Hector decide to kind of try and figure out the whodunit because they don't think the police are doing a good enough job. And yeah, it was really, really fun. There were some very harrowing parts in this book for a book meant for middle graders, but yeah, it was just absolute. Tony, the dog's name is Tony. I just flipped to a random page. And there's the dog. But every single start of a chapter, you guys, has these delightful drawings. And I absolutely adored this so much. And then in between, like, the chapter or the page breaks or whatever, the scene breaks, you get this little skull and crossbones. Yeah, highly recommend, you guys. This was absolutely delightful. I own the first 3, so I own the other 2 on this floppy trade paperback. And I'm waiting for, I think it's this fall that book 4 comes out in this paperback format. And I'm going to pick that one up as well. So I'm just utterly charmed with this series. I think it's so delightful, and I just love the creativity in taking a real person and kind of reimagining what their life may have been like if they were, you know what I mean? So, and I mean, a lot of the stuff, like, she gives a recommended reading list in the back, and this is meant for middle schoolers. And it's like, it literally is like the biography of Agatha Christie. It's like an autobiography, Agatha Christie's complete secret notebooks, the complete Sherlock Holmes, so yeah, I think that would have been, she did her research, and she's Canadian. To my understanding, I believe I don't think she lives in Toronto. Every Canadian just automatically assumes everyone is from Toronto. Any other Canadians will agree with me on that one. Oh yes, and then at the front of the book, sorry, you get these delightful portraits of all the characters. Even the dog has a portrait. And there's Hector. Without his moose. There's a scene in the book at the beginning, because there's a constable, and he's got this big bushy mustache that's very unkept, and Hector's going on like, well, when I get to be older, I'm gonna have a very, and of course, Poirot does have, right? So anyway, delightful, charming, adults, kids, read this. It was fantastic. And then the last book that I finished this week, I do not have a physical copy to show you because I did take it back to the library. But I finished reading Wonton Terror by Vivien. This is the 4th book in the A Noodle Shop mystery series, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this one too. This is probably hands down one of my very favorite cozy mystery series. So this series stars our main character, Lana Lee, and she is currently at the place we're at now in the series. She is running her family's noodle shop, and it's in this place called Asia Village, which is a shopping complex outside or around Cleveland, Ohio. It's where the story takes place. So within this complex, and what I love about cozy mysteries is that they have that very small town feel. But the thing with this one, it does take place in a large city, but most of the action is centered around this Asia Village. So it does have that small town feel while still being in a large city, which I kind of love. So we've got Lana's parents, and her grandmother, who has come over from Taiwan. She has an older sister named Anna May. And I've talked about this series before. Like I said, it's a favorite. The relationship between Anna May and Lana is very reminiscent to me of Claudia and Janine from the Babysitter's Club. The older sister is very studious. She is, in this series, Anna May is becoming a lawyer. So, she's going to university and she's, all these things. Whereas Lana's just kind of flittering through life and, she didn't really have any direction until she started running the noodle house. So anyway, in this one, there is a Asian night market that's happening. And there is this food truck called Wonton on Wheels, which is where the kind of title of the book comes from. And the couple who run it, the woman used to be good friends with Lana's mom. And what happens is the food truck explodes. And the story goes from there. And I don't want to give anything else away. I didn't really know much going into it, but it was a lot of fun. I was about halfway. So I started this book on Friday, and I read a good bit of it on my lunch break. No, not on Friday. I started on Thursday. So on Thursday, I read a good bit of this on my lunch break. And then Thursday night, we did reading sprints. And what the heck was I reading during reading sprints Thursday night? I can't remember. It must have been this book. And then on Friday, I used my lunch to drive home because there was a snowstorm again. I'm kind of over the snow at this point, my friends. And then yesterday, so by Saturday morning, I was halfway through this. Yesterday morning, I was halfway through this book, and I just finished it yesterday. It was so good, I couldn't put it down. So anyway, really, really enjoyable. Highly recommend. I recommend this whole series. The first book, I think, is called Death by Dumpling, and they're just delightful. I think we're now up to book 9 in the series or something like that. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely recommend that. So what am I currently reading, my friends? So I have got 3 books on the go. I know, who am I? So not technically on the go, but I will. So the first one that I will be starting and finishing today is my throwback book, and that is Sweet Valley Twins book number 8, First Place, and it's about horses. So at one point in the series, they actually changed from Sweet Valley Twins, to now adding this and Friends, because the Sweet Valley High series is not, it does center around Elizabeth and Jessica, but there are books that really, they are only kind of secondary characters. And that happens a lot in this series as well, that you start to get a lot of stories that even though Jessica and Elizabeth are the main characters, you're getting stories just about their friends. Like Jess and Elizabeth will be in the story, but they will not be the main protagonists in the story, if you will. So that's why they ended up changing the title to Sweet Valley Twins and Friends. So this, I kind of wish I got one of the original editions of this, but it's fine. It is what it is. So yeah, so I've got this one to read. It's about horse racing. Lila Fowler, that's Lila, snobbiest girl in school. Her dad just bought her a horse because they have all this money. And I think that's Elizabeth. You know what? It's funny, when I look at the Sweet Valley High covers, I can automatically tell which twin is which. I even felt the same way watching, okay, for those of you who watch the Sweet Valley High TV show, Brittany and Cynthia Danielle played Elizabeth and Jessica. Is it just me, or could you guys tell them apart too? Like, even if they were even if you look at a photograph of them dressed the same, they look like fraternal twins to me. Is that just me? Because to me, they're very easy to tell apart. And I feel that way about Sweet Valley High as well. Like, in the cover pictures, I just feel like they're easy to tell apart. Whereas with Sweet Valley Twins, it seems like they were more identical. Like in the, so I'm thinking this might be Jess, but because she's the one who's friends with Lila, and you kind of know that she's the one who wants to go horseback riding as well. But then again, she's wearing her hair like Elizabeth would. So I don't know. But then again, she's going horseback riding, so maybe she has to have it pulled back. I'm very intrigued now. Very intrigued. So I'll be starting that one today. Yesterday, I did start a Harlequin book. I was going back and forth on having one of these on the go at all the time, and I kind of really like the idea of that. So I am reading right now Winning Her Fortune by Heather Lee Bell here on my Kindle. Like my Kobo, only it's my Kindle. And this is the 3rd book in the Fortunes of Texas Hitting the Jackpot miniseries. I think there's going to be like 8 books or 9 books in this series, I think. I'm not absolutely certain. But essentially what it's about, it's these sorry for the bright light, I've got my my ring light on. These Fortunes of Texas series, it's like over 20 years this series has been going on. And it's all offshots of this Fortunes family. And in this one, this is a illegitimate child of the family or something like that. And his grandfather had these fortunes in these silver and gold mines. And then the grandfather passes away, so his will goes to the son, but the son had already died. So now we've got the grandchildren of the original owner of the mines. We're getting all their stories because they are now inheriting this fortune. Hence the title, Hitting the Jackpot, or the miniseries title, Hitting the Jackpot. So this is the story about Coop and Alana. So that's Coop and Alana. And they've known each other since they were younger. They grew up in the same small town in Texas. And they're both kind of known for having this wild child persona. Like, he dates a lot of women and he's kind of known as a bit of a player. But he's coming into this money very soon. So Alana is also kind of known as being a bit of a party girl. Her reputation isn't the greatest. She was, like, she maybe, I don't want to say she did anything wrong because everybody's each to their own, you know what I mean? She was careful and but she did get somewhat of a reputation, if you will. And I don't want to give too much of the story away, but you find this out pretty much in the first chapter that she's now pregnant with this guy that she was dating, his baby. He was a ranch hand. And as soon as he found out, he left. So she's kind of looking now for a father for her baby. And at first I was having a little bit of problems with her at the beginning because it starts out at this bachelor auction and she's auctioning or trying to bid on Coop's older brother because he now has his money. And she's like, oh, he's got money. And then she's like, okay, well, I'll go for Coop because he's going to get his money soon. So it seemed like a very underhanded and devious thing. Like, you're just going for somebody with money. But she then realizes that she can't do that to Coop because she does like him. So I'm about a quarter of the way through this one right now, and I am enjoying it. So I will keep you guys updated. And last but not least, my friends, I am listening to an audiobook. So I know, I've been listening to them off and on. I think the thing that got me away from them was the fact that I wasn't really going into work as often. And I started my audiobook journey many, many, many years ago, commuting to work and back. I would listen to them in the car. And with the pandemic and stuff like that, a lot more time was spent working from home. And I think a lot of us understand that it was a lot of remote working. And so commuting wasn't a thing. And now, just within the last month or so, I've started going back into the office a lot more, and I'm actually in the office now 5 days a week. That is my choice. My manager did give me a day. She's like, if you want to work from home on Tuesday, you can. And I'm just like, I did it last Tuesday, and I'm just like, I'm kind of over working from home. It's lost the appeal for me. I like the transition. I've talked about this before. I like the transition of going into an office, and when you're done for the day, you leave everything at the office and you drive home. And you get to relax in the car or on the train or whatever transit you might take. And I like that. I like that quite a bit. So I would prefer to save those, working from home days for when the weather's inclement or when I'm not feeling well. So, it kind of makes it a little bit, I don't know, more enjoyable if you're not doing it all the time. But I know a lot of my coworkers and a lot of other people out there, and I'm not judging anyone, would prefer to work from home. And I get it. Gas is expensive, wear and tear on your vehicle is expensive, all of those things. But I do really like going into the office. So because I've started doing that more and more, for a while I've been listening to music and stuff. But even on Spotify, I'm kind of like, no, there's nothing really new that I want to listen to. So on Friday, and I've kind of listened to my Spotify playlist over and over again. So I'm like, well, let's see what there is. And I was kind of hunting around Friday morning before I left for work, and it was very, very quick. And I'm like, let me see what I can find on audio. And then I remembered, the Campers and Criminals series. It's not a short series because there's a lot of books in it, but the books are shorter. So I ended up picking up, I think it's book number 10 in the series, which is Sunset, Sabbaticals, and Scandal. And this is by Tanya Kappas, and this is a great little cozy mystery series. Like I said, not very long. The audiobooks are about 4.5 hours long, but I have really reduced the amount of the speed. I used to listen to my audiobooks at 2 times speed, which was fine, but I find it's more relaxing now just to kind of slow it down. I know there's this booktube tag that's been going around, the Tell the Truth tag. And one of it was do you speed up YouTube videos that you're watching? And if you do, great. That's on you 100%. But for me, what I had thinking, life is going by so quickly. Wasn't it just Christmas? How is it now almost mid-March? It goes by so quickly that, I don't want to speed stuff up too much. I want to slow down and enjoy it. And you know what I mean? So if I'm finishing 3 books in a week, so be it. That's my reading speed. That's my reading pace. And I'm enjoying it. Same with the audiobook. So I am speeding them up just a little bit to 1.25 speed, but not beyond that. I did try 1.5, and I'm just like, no, it still sounded a little, no, I'm good. And again, each to their own. You know what I mean? I'm not judging you. And vice versa, right? So anyway, That's my audiobook currently. And I do have some other audiobooks in the queue, so stay tuned for my video tomorrow. I'll be doing a library haul, so I will talk about that when I do the library haul. And last but not least, before I let you guys go, I did get some fabulous book mail, and I am very, very excited to share all of this with you. So 2 fantastic authors sent me copies of their books. This one is Billionaire's Island Temptation by the amazing Rachel Stewart. Oh, a Harlequin romance novel. So this is part of the Billionaires for the Rose Sisters series. A summer fling or something more. This comes out in April. Absolutely gorgeous cover. Jessie Rose is shocked by the instant chemistry she feels when she meets billionaire Joel in Mystique. She's come looking for an escape, and brooding Joel is very clear he's not looking for anything permanent. But letting their guards down while exploring the island together, they can't deny the fling is dangerously close to being a temptation they may not be able to walk away from. So Rachel Stewart, for those of you who don't know, she writes on the spicier side. So with the Harlequin romance line, it really does depend on the author. Some of the books are going to be spicier than others. If you're picking up a Rachel Stewart, you are guaranteed some fabulous spice in the book. So yeah, but her stuff is always great. Pardon me. Just suddenly losing my voice. So yeah, highly recommend Rachel Stewart. She is absolutely fantastic. Also sent me a delightful little postcard. Romance rocks, does it not? It does, my friend, it does. And then we got another book from the lovely Denise N. Wheatley. This is Danger in the Nevada Desert. This comes out in June, so this is way early, and I am so excited. This is part of the West Coast Crime Story series. The first one? Is this the second book? No, this is the third book. I'm sure of it. No, it's not. This is the second book. So the first book was The Heart-Shaped Murders, which I read last year, which was absolutely fabulous, and you need to go and read it. Danger in the Nevada Desert is the second book. So all these stories take place on the West Coast, hence the title. Or the series title, I should say. A killer's terrorizing River Valley and its newest sergeant. With a serial killer terrorizing her desert town, Sergeant Charlotte Bowman needs the savviest partner she can find, fast. Enter hotshot California detective Miles Love. Together, Miles is a carryover character from the first book, so I think that's kind of the tie-in for all of these books. Together, Charlotte and Miles make a formidable team despite their fiery past. But with the stakes as intense as their chemistry, can the pair outwit a ruthless murderer who might just have River Valley's newest sergeant next in his sights? So yeah, I cannot wait to read this one. Love, love, love that cover as well. So yeah, very, very much looking forward to that one. Thank you both to the lovely Rachel and the lovely Denise. You guys are highly... so generous, just so generous. So thank you, ladies. And last but not least, I got a book of the month book in the mail. My final book of the month book. I did decide to cancel it. It really wasn't. I talked my way through it on a live show one day, and I just decided, you know what? It's here in Canada, including shipping, it's $26 a month. And I just thought, you know what else I could spend $26 on? You know, like I could buy other things, right? Like I could use that money for other things. And it just wasn't worth it to me. I think in the US it's a little bit better because your pricing might be a little bit better in the US, but here in Canada it just wasn't worth it. So I did have one final credit that I had to use, and I'm kind of really excited about the book. Although yesterday I was in Walmart and I found the same book in soft cover for 30% off. So a little annoyed at that. But I have to admit the hardcover of this one is gorgeous. And I love the first book that I read by this author. So I ended up getting The London Seance Society by Sarah Penner. Isn't that gorgeous? Absolutely gorgeous. So the one in Walmart was, like I said, it was a paperback. And this was actually like sparkly. So it was pretty, but I felt it looked cheap compared to this one. But that's just my opinion. This is really, really pretty. And like I said, she also wrote The Lost Apothecary, which I read last year or the year before. So it says, amid the shrouded parlors of Victorian London, 2 daring women hunt for truth and justice in the perilous art of conjuring the dead. I love it. And I think, is it a dual timeline? I don't think so. But it takes place in 1873. Yeah. So I am really, really looking forward to this one. I know The Lost Apothecary was a dual timeline. That's why I was wondering. But we shall see when I read this one. This feels like a Halloween one, so I might hold off. But we'll see. We'll see. But it is you know what? For the last credit, I'm really glad I decided to get this book. So yeah, I'm done with Book of the Month. I'm done with spending the money on something like that. Y'all can keep it if you guys like it. Good. That's awesome. I will just, use my $26 to buy something else. So yeah, yay on that one. Anyway, guys, that is it for today's video. I do hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you read any of the books that I have talked about. What did you read this week? What was your favorite book that you read this week? And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.